for the special occasion, Cartoon Network is airing a Powerpuff Girls marathon today, and so to celebrate the occasion, I figured I was just going to do a quick video talking about some Powerpuff Girls related stuff, because Media Wiz isn't going to get to it on his show, so figured might as well talk about it here. Because after all, I've talked about the 2016 Powerpuff Girls show, the leaked script for the 2020 CW Powerpuff Girls show, as well as some of the other times they tried bringing the show back, like the 10-year anniversary Powerpuff Girls Rule special and the 2014 special. Throughout the years, several people have suggested other Powerpuff Girls related reviews to Media Wiz, and two of those suggestions were videos on least favorite episodes from the show and the anime Powerpuff Girls Z. So Powerpuff Girls Z is an anime that came out in 2006 and ended in 2007. It lasted 2 seasons, lasted a decent amount of episodes, and it was something I always heard about and kept seeing images and clips from, but never actually sat down to watch the full episodes. But I eventually did watch the first 3 or 4 episodes, and I did try to get a feel for what it is, and I'm just going to give my thoughts on the first few episodes that I was able to see. In this show, the girls were not created specifically by the professor. They're actually 13-year-old girls who are not sisters. They're all from different families, and they end up getting hit with these rays that end up shooting out from the professor's lab. There was also some adverse effects where the beam ends up giving people either good aura or bad aura, which is why some of the villains like Mojo Jojo end up becoming villains. They got the bad aura. Aside from the 3 main girls, you also got the key main characters in there. You got the professor, the mayor, Miss Bellum, Miss Keen, as well as some of the villains. You got Mojo, Princess, who actually does get a proper name in this series, Fuzzy Lumpkins, him, Gangrene Gang, Amoeba Boys. They brought back a lot of the villains from what I can tell. Along with the professor not being the surrogate father of the girls, he actually does have a son in this show, and along with his son, he also has this robot dog that basically serves as the hotline in this show, because he's the one that does the Powerpuff Girls, we need you, or whatever, that summons the girls, and then the girls go into their magical girl anime transformations that take about an hour. I actually did like some of the changes in this show because it was at least trying to give the show its own identity while also staying true to the original source material. And unlike something like the 2016 show, this one at least felt like it was trying to do something different with the source material versus the 2016 show where it was trying to have its cake and eat it too. It wanted to bank on the nostalgia of the original series, but then was also trying too hard to be cool and hip and throw in things that out-of-touch grown-ups thought that kids in 2016 liked, like twerking and dubstep. And I only saw the first few episodes. I still need to watch the rest of the series, but from what I've seen, I thought it was pretty funny, thought it was pretty entertaining. They were kind of doing something subversive and trying to poke fun at anime tropes. And, you know, it was an interesting concept, trying to take Powerpuff Girls and make it into an anime aesthetic. I thought that it was pulled off much better than the 2016 show, which I was just not a fan of. What's also really interesting, the dub of this show has a ton of voice actors that you might recognize. Not only do you have names like Scott McNeil, who does Fuzzy Lumpkins in this version, and Matt Hill, who does the voice of the robot dog, there are a ton of actors that would go on to be MLP voice actors in this show. Tabitha St. Germain, Kathleen Barr, Kathy Westluck, Nicole Oliver. You have the woman who does Spitfire's voice doing Buttercup, and once I figured that out, I could not stop hearing Spitfire's voice. And the woman that does Bubbles in this show also plays Gilda, and she also does the voice of Sonata in Equestria Girls. Not really much to say other than I enjoyed these first few episodes, and I am curious to check out the rest of the show and see how it fares up. Now we move on to the worst episodes of the show, which I try and speed through these and just give really quick reviews as I go. So number 10 is one that it's not really a horrible episode, but it's just one that I thought was otherwise pointless rewatching it, and that's Monkey See Doggy 2. This is an episode that pretty much just recycles a lot of the first episode of the show. Halfway through, they have some new animation of them going, hey, we've already done this before. And then when they go to Mojo's lair, it just becomes them doing a commentary over the original episode because they start rewatching it on a VHS tape. Number 9, Oops, I Did It Again. This is a really good idea for an episode. What if the professor actually did create the girls to be normal little girls who didn't have superpowers? But honestly, the episode just kind of struck me as boring, and I'm sorry, no offense to anyone that likes the designs of the human Powerpuff Girls, but After seeing the girls as the way they're designed with the big heads and the big eyes and no noses or ears and no opposable digits, seeing them designed like normal little girls with those features just came off really weird to me. Number 8, Toast of the Town. There's a lot of episodes in the later seasons where they specifically make characters too dumb for the sake of having a plot or for the sake of having humor. This is one of them. I mean, if you want an episode that has the mayor doing stupid things and wreaking havoc, I would personally suggest the episode Hot Air Buffoon. That episode was great. This episode is just one of the many examples where they just make the mayor too dumb for his own good. Number 7, PPGs. It's basically that episode of It's Always Sunny where the gang are trying to figure out who pooped in the bed, except here it's that the girls are trying to figure out who wet the bed. And then at the end it turns out it was Mojo Jojo. I often see the criticism that seasons 5 and 6 of Powerpuff Girls just have a lot of filler episodes and that episodes just kind of drag on with no real plot to them. This is definitely one of those episodes. Number 6, Say Uncle. Nordy did a review of this episode, and simply put, this is one of those episodes where they just kind of have stuff happen just for the sake of having a plot. Professor, out of nowhere, says that he has a brother and that he's coming to town to visit, so he wants the girls to go down to the train station to pick him up and bring him home. And he says that his brother is very hairy, so then they go down there and the train that they're looking for him on just so happens to be carrying a hairy monster that no one, not even the professor when he sees the monster, questions that it's not really his brother. They also established this really stupid thing that the monster loves taffy, and then once the monster starts wreaking havoc, it turns out there's a taffy festival in town, so you know that shenanigans are gonna go on down here. Number 5, Sweet and Sour. Now, there are a lot of episodes in the last 2 seasons of the original Powerpuffs. There's another episode that we're gonna get to later on the list, but there's a lot of episodes in the last 2 seasons where you just have people, for no reason, telling the girls how to do their job. And in this case, all the townspeople are telling them to butt out when these crimes are being committed by these 3 cute little animals. And everyone says that the girls can't beat them up or put them in jail because they're cute little animals. And then the girls' solution is to shave the animals so that they're ugly, so that they can actually do what they're supposed to do. Number 4, City of Frownsville. Now, you know how people criticize later seasons of SpongeBob for episodes where it's just a lot of SpongeBob laughing or crying and it gets really annoying? It's pretty much what this episode was, because something is making people cry uncontrollably in Townsville and it seems that nobody can stop crying. Number 3, Sunscream. The whole episode is about the girls getting sunburnt and how painful it is to have a sunburn. And when this show does really bad gross out humor, it's really bad. I mean, even worse, the episode ends with them finally like peeling, and they actually have really gross detail of peeling dead sunburnt skin. It is really gross. And number 2 and number 1 are the obvious choices. Number 2 is Girls Gone Mild, and number 1 is Town and Out. In the case of Girls Gone Mild, I appreciate what the episode's trying to do. It's trying to poke fun at those dumb parental advisory groups. This whole episode otherwise is just another example of why are the girls having to stop fighting crime the way that they usually do because 2 yuppie bastards are telling them, oh no, the way you fight is violent and we don't want to encourage violence because our children could see that and replicate it. I get what they're trying to say, but in terms of an episode plot, it just comes off really, really forced. Especially since there's at least a good 4 minutes of the girls just waiting for 911 to get back to them because they can't solve crimes. And as for Town and Out, I like the idea of the more realistic setting, and the whole notion of superheroes being restricted to not help people is something like Watchmen in the comics or The Incredibles. But this whole episode just comes off really mean-spirited. I mean, everyone in this town is a stereotype New York asshole. Girls see a crime going on, they want to stop it, and they're immediately told, no, don't do that. You're just little girls. You shouldn't be doing superhero work. And on top of that, the episode's pointless. The girls have to move because the professor found a new place of employment in this new town. But then at the end of the episode, they just leave. I'm done. No more of these episodes.
And so, once again, the day was saved thanks to the future Media Wiz.